photographer going after the job to the quoting stage. So you've got to become very rigorously competitive in your budgeting to try and at least keep yourself in the frame for a particular commission, because you're not outpriced yourself. And that's difficult for me because, as I said earlier, I'm one of those people that always stuck out and helped create this climate of getting usage compensation for photographers I represent. We're all photographers. So, that can work against me sometimes. But the second thing is that you've got to just be canny and make sure you're showing the right pictures so that the client, if you know what they've been shooting or what they're expecting their agency to commission, is seeing stuff which is relevant.
So that really boils down to experience.
Yeah, it is. It's all about experience. Yeah. And if photographers can't do it on their own, they just can't. And a young agent won't be able to do it either. It's not good, because this recession thing I was talking about, which brought these people out of agencies into client side, and which also made clients be wary about the money they were spending. And also at the same time, in general in society, education is sharpened up, but it hasn't sharpened up in the way people behave, and they're educated in the way they should be in their confidence. In their confidence. And what I mean by that is that a lot of account handlers for agencies have got no confidence at all in the creative side of their agency, and they've lost sight completely of the fact that without an art director and a copywriter, the agency wouldn't exist. Okay, so they think they're more important now than the creative side.
So basically what we're talking about is kind of the creative element within an advertising campaign has been devalued.
Totally.
And there's nothing we can do about that now.
I think, luckily in this country, luckily, just a second.
Just talking to it, could be better.
Is that right?
Yeah, you just.
Yeah. Luckily in this country.
You talk about that.
There?
Yeah.
Sure.
There you go. Yeah.
Luckily in this country, we've had such good photography and better. Luckily not to my beard.
Yeah.
Luckily in this country, we've had a long period of really good advertising. Incredible art direction.
Is that working, John? Is that working?
Yeah. Sorry about this. So we've had, that's better, isn't it? So luckily in this country we've had an awful long time of great photography in advertising, commercial photography and magazine work, and we've had a lot of creative people producing great visual images. And what it's meant is that people are educated in this country to understand what a good photograph is.
See, I would argue with that one. You think they are educated? Because I would say that actually there is, if you were to go to Italy or to particularly in America, where photography is seen far more as a serious profession or art form, that actually there's far more understanding there than there is here, but you wouldn't agree with that?
No, I'd agree that there is more, but I wouldn't say in this country that we're lacking it.
Okay.
Particularly in America there is more.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at the radio advertising, it's crass, isn't it? I mean, radio advertising is just an embarrassment. It always has been in this country. They pander to, they like treat the people who are listening to the radio as idiots. You'll always notice that in advertising, the husband is always an idiot. He's always a sort of trodden on buffoon.
Yeah.
And that's the level of their thinking, I'm afraid. But in photography and press advertising, we produce some of the greatest images.
No, I agree with you. I think we do.
I know. I think people who are my best mates, who are these guys who I talked about earlier, who drive trucks and stuff, they talk to me about what they see. They understand it.
Yeah.
They get it.
But do you think that the level of photography, I mean, we've been talking again over the last couple of days about how many photographers are now wanting to be professional photographers. Do you feel that that level has increased? Is with the amount of new people taking photography, I mean, you talk about students not even owning a camera.
There's a lot of
Where
people
are we
out
with
there.
that?
There's a lot of people out there who are very committed to being photographers. Okay, a lot more people than there ever has been. Too many, in fact.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to fall by the wayside because of the recession we just had.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And in a way, it's not a bad thing, because when you have so much work being put out there, a lot of it is rubbish.
Right.
There's only been 5% in my opinion that's ever really good anyway.
Right.
I mean, the amount of photographers I see, I get probably 5 emails a day, every single day of the week, including the weekend, because I've often come from abroad, of photographers who want me to look at their work. And I look at all of them, and it's like, one out of a month might have something that's special.
So what are you looking for?
Just-
I mean, I know you say
just-
unique,
well,
but what is
that's
that?
it. I mean, just something which unique images. Someone who's got a good eye, who understands balance, composition, how to treat colour, how to work with black and white, how to choose what to photograph. I mean, for me, there are three stages of photography. There's the selecting what you want to photograph, how you're going to do it, and editing it.
Yeah.
You know, and most of them can't do any of it.
Well, certainly the editing, I think, is a real lost art.
It's a lost art. Well, also the idea about what to shoot. I mean, whenever I judge competitions, say I judged a competition, this happened a few years ago, and the winning prize was a woman with an umbrella that turned inside out. It was a good image. The next year I judged the same competition. I think 30% of the entrants contained umbrellas. You know?
They knew you were judging.
Yeah, well, no, of course they did. That's
Yeah,
the point.
yeah.
They thought, well, he likes umbrellas. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I do like umbrellas actually, but that's
Yeah.
not the point.
But
I
that's-
wouldn't
yeah.
judge because an umbrella was in the shot. It was a good picture. But I thought it was a good illustration about the lack of imagination that people have in general about what to produce, and they just look at what's been produced before and go for it, instead of being influenced before it's been produced before, but having eclecticism and going on to it, and then producing something of their own work. They don't.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what you're a point there that's kind of raising is this looking for inspiration. It's kind of where does that inspiration come from, the photography? And I think too often it's looking at too narrow a focus of work, or alternatively not looking at work at all. You know, you have to be very open-minded to get and be willing to get your inspiration from all sources.
But also it's about characters. I mean, it's about the way you're brought up. It's about the way you perceive life and things. I mean, you can get a guy who never sees. I mean, I've seen photographers come into my office who don't know anybody in the world of photography, and they're just guys that have been shooting on their own in their room.
Yeah.
And they're mind blowing some of the stuff they're producing because they're that character. They're just like one of those crazy kind of musicians that can produce something like that. Suddenly out of the box, they just suddenly produce something. This doesn't work for everyone. That's somebody who has a particular mindset and who's brought up in a certain way. But most people have to really work at it and really, really study the art form to get all the influences and then take it and run away with it themselves. It's rather like doing life drawing classes. Before you can start doing abstract, you've got to at least study form.
Yeah.
And build
Get the
up a
basics
really
right.
good talent and ability to produce shapes and representations and then go crazy. You know?
And how do you find, you were talking earlier about the fact of ensuring that the photographers who you get work